My name is Lena Levario. I am the presiding judge of the 204th Judicial District Court in Dallas County, Texas. It's a court that just hears criminal cases that have the punishment of time in prison.
Judge Lena Levario is the current judge who handles the S.T.A.R court program, a program spearheaded by Judge Lena Myers in July of 2008.
In order to be in these courts for prostitution, you have to have at least 3 prior convictions for prostitution. So these are ladies that have been in the streets for a long time. And what we decided to do, because we were seeing these ladies over and over again, we decided that instead of just leaving them out on the streets, we needed to figure out if we could help them stay on the streets. We are open to accepting men. However, all of these ladies, because they have similar backgrounds, have to go to group counseling. But if a man fits the same background as the ladies, and then yes, then we would allow. There are organizations in the community that like to help the ladies in our program, but it's difficult. One of our main problems is to find housing for them. Housing is very difficult. When you suffer from a mental illness and a drug addiction and you have a lengthy criminal history, you can't work, nobody will hire you, you may not be able to work because of your mental health disabilities, and when you're just trying to recover from a drug addiction and you're just trying to get stable on your mental health medication, it's not very easy for you to do any kind of work. Ideally, it would be best if they didn't have to work initially, but we have them in homes where they have to work in order to stay there, and it's not ideal. We have mental health services in the community that find them housing. ABC Behavioral Center helps them. Metro Care helps them. But yes, we're thankful that there's a lot of folks in the community that can help them find a place to stay.
Okay.
After the ladies graduate from our program, they are still under supervision for about a year. So they don't report to this court anymore, but they will report to a probation officer in the field so that we can gradually reintroduce them to life without any kind of supervision. And so that's how we keep track of them.
Not all graduates go without falling back into the system. However, only a small percentage has come.
Out of the
less than
9
15%.
that graduated in April, we had 1 lady that absconded. We heard, there's a network amongst these ladies, so they knew what she was doing. She was out with an abusive boyfriend. She showed up at her work with a black eye, asking for her last paycheck and asking a co-worker for money. And the guy was in the car outside waiting for her. We had found out that she had sold all of her furniture that she was renting, so she was looking at a new theft case. So it was really bad. But this lady, you have to understand, has been in and out of prison since 1978. She's been in the streets for a very, very long time, and it was great that she was clean and doing well for that period of time. But eventually she was arrested, and so now I want her to go to another rehab, and she's reluctant to do it, but that's because she's, just in that frame of mind. Otherwise, she's looking at 2 years in the state jail. But we try and keep an eye on them now. As far as the ladies, the first group of ladies that graduated, I'm about to release them from probation because they've already been out for over a year out in the field. They come once a month to visit to our program once a month to see how they're doing, and so in December I'm going to completely release them from their probation, so they're real happy about that. We realize that the jails are full of people that aren't really criminals. They just have these problems that they need help with. They try and address their criminal thinking patterns, and so there is a lot of help at the courthouse, more so than there was before 2007. And there are a lot of organizations in the community that are available as well. The problem that I have found, though, is that many people have problems with family members, that they drink too much, they use drugs, but they don't have the strength to try and force these people to get help. And it is easy for a judge to try and force these people to get help, because we can threaten them with a lot of time in prison. And without that hammer, I don't know how successful we would be. What is important for the community to realize is the judges do believe in stopping people from committing crimes. The only thing about this particular group of persons, prostitutes, is they're not necessarily criminals. People don't realize that these ladies were abused since they were children. You'd be surprised, their stories, how much they match. We had a child at the age of 5. Her father started allowing drug dealers to have sex with her at the age of 5 so that he could get his drugs. She became a heroin addict at the age of 8. Okay? That's just one story that I can tell you that would bring tears to your eyes. Each lady has a different story that's so horrific. They never really had a chance. Another lady in the program that when she was 10 years old, her mother was passed out drunk when her mother's boyfriend beat her nearly to death and left her for dead. She's had to have a couple of operations as a child and more operations as an adult, and she continued to be abused by men. And so they're horrific stories. They've suffered a lot of trauma. And if members of the community can only realize that many of the people here in these jails are broken people that never really ever had a chance. On the other hand, when the judges are dealing with a group of ladies like the prostitution court, DWI court, and other courts, in those types of situations where the judges are meeting weekly with the probationers, we're getting reviews from their therapists weekly and their probation officers to how they're doing. It's hard not to get emotional because you know them more intimately. But still, even though the ladies have suffered a lot of trauma, they are not well served by a judge that will just sit there, hold their hand, and cry with them about the terrible things that have happened to them.